Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about natal sun square Pluto. And I've been waiting a while to do this video. I've been waiting for the right moment when I felt ready to talk about you guys with this aspect. This I feel like is one of the potentially hardest aspects to have in your natal chart. And there's also a great potential for a lot of outer success and a lot of crisis that lead to transformation in like the best way. So it's one of those aspects that is like potentially so dramatic and difficult, but then leads to a lot of greatness. So yeah, let's talk about it. So when we have the sun, which is our ego, our identity, our light, our confidence, making this tense, frustrating square aspect with Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, rebirth, obsession, where we're, very compulsive and even actually, covering up for a deep vulnerability and fear that we have, and, potentially where we've even been traumatized, right? There is a lot of unconscious behavior. So, like, you don't realize when you have this square that the way that you're acting is being motivated by these deep unconscious impulses. And quite likely, there is a desire to be on top of things, to be the leader, to be powerful, to be an authoritative person. And, we could see this square being potentially one of the biggest indicators that we want to be even famous or we want to be someone, right? And that deep unconscious desire can motivate us to act in ways that are sometimes considered by other people to be even ruthless, in like the very far end of the spectrum here, which of course isn't going to be seen with everybody, but we could even see like criminal behavior or associations with criminal activity and very ruthless, uncaring, cold behavior to get to the top or to get money or to get status. There can be a very ruthless energy. Now that's just a very extreme case. It's not going to manifest like that for everybody. We could also see that perhaps the father figure, or the father was a representation of this energy. Maybe he was a very ruthless businessman, or maybe he was a criminal, or maybe he was very much a dictator on the child. And didn't allow the child for their unique expression. They were trying to mold you into being what they thought was right. Or often, actually, with the square, there is even an absent father, or if the father wasn't absent, maybe he was absent at some very critical stage of the developing child's life. So this aspect has some daddy issues, we could say. And that can be one of the things that is motivating this behavior. And they might not be able to see that. They might not be able to see that in themselves. You can't really tell people with this aspect what they're doing wrong or what, they could improve on. They do not take well to criticism, and they sometimes just completely shut it out even. And so I am expecting this video to probably have more dislikes than my others, or because I know that you guys don't want to hear this. And I think the reason for that is that actually this behavior, this ruthlessness, this conquest for power, it's coming from such a deeply rooted wound in the sun self. Like, your light was just like annihilated by your parental figure, potentially the father. Like, you felt so disregarded as an individual, or so there could have even been abuse. There could have been abuse. There could have been sexual abuse, even in some cases. There could have been something extremely violating toward your ego and your sense of self and your confidence and your light that was so damaging and so painful. And if you haven't done any work to heal that trauma, it could be actually stuffed so far down in you that it's like not conscious anymore. So that can be a lot of what is going on with this square. And this is why I said this is one of the most difficult natal chart aspects, because there's a need to look at this wound and this trauma, but yet a desire not to go there and to just, stay in control of the feelings, stay in control of the life. These people can be control freaks in a way because of, underneath all of this, underneath this domineering energy, underneath this, authoritative presence that they have, which is actually a gift. We're going to talk about the gifts too. Don't worry, you guys. I'm not going to talk about this square and not talk about all the amazing benefits that it can provide you with. But yeah, it definitely can be concealing this very deep rooted wound that is just so severe. Like energetically, it's like the sense of self, like, was almost like completely shut down, or like even like conquered, or like Pluto's the planet of death, right? Like it was like killed, and there was like they weren't allowed to be themselves, or they didn't feel like they were allowed to be themselves, or if they did anything like attention seeking, they would be shut down. And so now, as kind of a reaction to that, a lot of times we're going to see someone who is, yeah, very authoritative, very dominant, right? They're not going to like to be put in a position where they're submissive or they're the subordinate person. They usually find their way to the top. Now, in women, we can sometimes see this manifest as a little bit of the opposite, where, and this is more with the opposition, and I'm going to actually do these separate this time, the sun opposite Pluto and the sun square Pluto. But sometimes with women, with our sun sign aspects, we can project them more. So there might be, like, if you're a woman watching this video, you might actually feel the opposite, that maybe you attract dominant men who are controlling, or, very authoritative, trying to mold you into what they want you to be. And so this is when you've projected this onto a man, which we can sometimes do with our sun sign as women. So, you could have that going on as a woman. But usually with this aspect, we'll see the ego energies are appearing to be very strong and to be very confident and to be, like very knowing of everything. And like, they know how to get other people to follow them and to be the leader, and whatever, like I said, position they end up in, they end up being the boss of that place. Even if they're just energetically the boss, they are the boss. And that's actually a gift. So the gift of this is that you, through this life that you've had, you will have many crises, you will have confidence blocks, you will have this inner trauma that you potentially have to look at and deal with, and you'll have like things that happen that are very hard on your ego, that bring you down a notch. That is all a part of this aspect. That is all meant to happen, because maybe in some ways it's like you need to be brought down a bit to realize the deep wound and the pain that is going on within you. You need to be forced to face that so that you can have true confidence, and not just this like bravado and this like, need to be above, because deep down you feel like the lowest speck on this earth. And that is why all of this behavior. So it's very challenging. You can look at the houses and the signs, of course, that this square is taking place in, to see, what needs to be worked on, what the constant state of tension is. So on the positive, squares are very motivating. You can't sit still when you have a square aspect. So you probably have more of a chance than people with a trine, actually, to develop your self-esteem and to develop actually like a sense of importance in the world, and external success, and a strong drive, a strong like authoritative energy in the world. Like, so whatever you do end up doing, which is, you know, probably you could end up doing many things, but whatever you're doing, you're going to end up having some sort of power over it. And that'll be the challenge, is like feeling powerless and then feeling powerful. And you actually have a lot of energy at your disposal, and you have a lot of magnetism, and you do sometimes rub people the wrong way, but you're also very sexy, and you're also very attractive. You wouldn't say that the sun sign is necessarily like a sexual planet, but with the sun square to Pluto, there definitely is a very high sexual energy, a very um, strong desire to merge with other people and to have sexual relationships. You could sometimes be kind of like a dominant force in your love life. You like to, bring people into your life and like mold them into what you want them to be, and also what they need to be for their highest good. So you actually have a potential to see like what in someone needs to be fixed in order for them to be more effective in their life. So like, but you have to beware with the square that sometimes you got to wait for people to ask for your advice. You got to wait for them to want your help before you just try to go and give it, right? So there's that need to kind of wait for your energy to be asked for, because with this square it's like you give it sometimes when the other person wasn't ready, or you experience that from other people as well, that people are just kind of coming on to you, or trying to control you, and then you react with such force and strength that there can definitely be relationship issues with this square. And you could actually say that you are the cause of some of these difficulties because of all of this that's going on with this square. So there's a great need to let go of the reins, and to like let go of this grip that you have on life, that you have on the people in your life, that you have on your career, your purpose, your like whatever it is you're doing, that you're trying to get your power from, and you're trying to get this ego, you're trying to get your identity from. You have to let it go with this square. You have to practice detachment. And you're going to be thinking, what? I'm not doing that. And that what you'll notice is the more that you detach from needing things to be a certain way, the more that you'll realize that your confidence and your self-esteem was never actually coming from any of these external things. And actually, the more that you cling to your, these accolades, or, you cling to these people telling you how great you are, or you cling to the career, the job, the money, the whatever, the more that you cling to all of that, the less secure you feel. So when you can let it go and recognize your value and your worth and your light, it doesn't come from any of that stuff, you can actually develop into a more chill person who then can use this Pluto energy in a constructive way. As soon as you realize, and you have such a penetrating insight, and you have such a actual psychic ability with this as well, but you have like a psychic ability into your own self, which is rare, but actually, as soon as you turn that on, because you have to be willing to face the truth about yourself. But when you're ready, you are able to die to your old self multiple times while you're still in the body. You can transform these lower ego versions of yourself, these versions of yourself that you will cling to so tightly until you realize this true inner security. You can let all this go, and you can transform over and over and over again. And so this is the kind of person that you can see go through many, different identity crisis. But you actually are able to, better than most people, let go of the old identities that are no longer serving you. And like it's like a constant shedding when you have the sun square to Pluto. And, you know, once you kind of turn on the power of this aspect with a little bit of healing, a little bit of self realization, because before that point, you can be actually a little bit afraid to like look at yourself. Like you feel like there's something in there that's just so dark and demonic or something. It's not. We all have this stuff, right? And you're actually meant to, in this lifetime, go within and look within. And this is where your power will come from. And then you are truly unstoppable because you're able to flow with life. You're able to use this power in the right way that's not coming on too strong for people. So people actually want to be around you. They're actually obsessed with you when you have this square because you have this real sexiness and power, right? But then you're not using it the wrong way. You're not putting people off with it anymore. You're letting them come to you because you trust in life. You trust in yourself that you don't have to take it to get it, right? It can come to you because of your inner foundation and inner security and confidence, which is no longer dependent on all of these external things. So, like the highest level with this aspect, you can be a great psychologist. You could even be like a confidence coach for people because you have struggled so much in that area. You struggled with overcompensation, you've struggled with, you know, under compensation, or you've struggled on both ends of the spectrum here. So, you know, to come to a balanced place of confidence, when you do, you're going to want to give that to other people. You're going to want to help other people through that. And, you know, you can also really excel in any leadership position. And that's something, you know, you're really here to do. You are here to put your mark on this world in a big way. You're not here to be hidden away in the shadows, and you wouldn't want to, you know, with this square. You're here to be a light in this world, but not a light that's fake. It's a light that has been through it. You've been through the darkness and you've come out on the other side. And because of that, you are so incredibly powerful. And you learn about the nature of power. You learn about, you know, how to use it without being forceful. So there's many gifts of this challenging square. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. But there's probably more to say. There's probably things I've missed. It's incredibly complex energy. But yeah, I'm sending you all the love. Love you guys. I'd love to know your experience of this square. If you have it in your natal chart, or you know someone, you're with someone, let me know how it's been for you or them. And yeah, keep your requests coming, you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.